The rain poured down in sheets, turning the streets of Maplewood into glistening rivers. Cars hissed by, their headlights cutting through the gray haze. Emily hurried along the sidewalk, clutching her umbrella against the wind. Her workday had been long, and all she wanted was to get home, kick off her shoes, and check on her daughter. But then, something made her stop. Across the street, near the edge of the park, she noticed a small figure sitting alone on a wooden bench. The boy couldn't have been older than 8 or 9. His jacket was too thin for the weather, and his sneakers were soaked through. What caught Emily's attention most wasn't his appearance, it was the way he sat so still, clutching an old metal lunchbox in his lap as the rain drenched him. At first, she hesitated. Maybe someone was with him. She looked around, no parents, no backpack, no umbrella. Just the boy, shivering under the gray sky. Something about the sight tugged at her heart. Emily crossed the street, careful not to startle him. As she got closer, she noticed his lips trembling from the cold, but his eyes, deep brown and sad, stayed fixed on the sidewalk. "Hey there," she said softly, kneeling down so they were eye level. "You okay, buddy? You'll catch a cold out here." The boy looked up, startled, then quickly glanced away. "I'm fine, ma'am," he murmured. His voice was polite, quiet, too quiet for a child. Emily frowned. "Where are your parents? Someone must be looking for you." He hesitated before answering. "Mom's at work. I'm just waiting for her to finish." His words were simple, but they didn't feel right. Emily glanced at the empty playground behind him, the swings creaking in the wind. "In the rain?" she asked gently. The boy gave a tiny shrug. "She works nearby. I don't mind waiting." Emily could tell he was trying to sound brave, but his hands trembled as he gripped the old lunchbox tighter. The rain hit the metal with a hollow sound that seemed to echo the emptiness in his small voice. Something deep inside Emily stirred, a mix of sadness and empathy she hadn't felt in years. She didn't know this boy, but in that moment, she knew she couldn't just walk away. The rain began to ease, softening into a mist that shimmered under the streetlights. Emily held her umbrella over the boy as best she could, though her own shoulder was getting soaked. His small hands clutched that old lunchbox so tightly, it seemed like the only thing he owned in the world. "What's your name?" she asked gently. "Ethan," he said, his voice barely louder than the raindrops tapping against the umbrella. "That's a nice name," Emily smiled. "I'm Emily. So, Ethan, what's inside your lunchbox?" He hesitated, glancing down as if she'd asked something personal. "Just lunch." Emily noticed his hesitation. The way he said it didn't sound right. Something in her gut told her there was more to the story. Carefully, she sat down beside him on the wet bench. "Can I see?" she asked softly. Ethan looked conflicted, but after a long pause, he nodded. His fingers trembled as he unlatched the rusted clips and slowly lifted the lid. The sound it made, a faint creak, was followed by silence. Inside, there was nothing. Not even a crumb. Just an old napkin folded neatly at the bottom. Emily's heart dropped. "Oh, honey," she whispered, her chest tightening. "Did you forget to pack lunch today?" Ethan quickly shook his head. "No, ma'am. I told Mom I wasn't hungry." She frowned. "You weren't hungry." He bit his lip and looked down at the ground. "She didn't have enough for both of us. So, I told her I'd eat at school. But I didn't. I wanted her to take the food instead." Emily's throat tightened. She stared at the boy, this small act of quiet sacrifice from someone so young, breaking her heart in ways she couldn't explain. He went on, almost whispering, "Mom works double shifts. She gets really tired. I just don't want her to worry about me too." For a moment, Emily couldn't speak. The rain kept falling softly around them, but the world seemed to go still. She thought of her own struggles, the nights she skipped dinner so her daughter could eat, the guilt of not being enough. She saw herself in this boy. And in that instant, Emily knew, she wasn't going to let him sit hungry or alone any longer. Emily stood there for a moment, her heart heavy, watching Ethan's small frame shiver under the fading drizzle. Without saying a word, she closed the boy's empty lunchbox and smiled gently. "Come on," she said softly. "Let's get you something warm to eat." Ethan looked startled. "Oh, no, ma'am, I can't. Mom says not to bother people." "You're not bothering me," Emily assured him, her tone warm but firm. "Everyone needs a little kindness sometimes. Let's just call it a rainy day treat." He hesitated, glancing at her face, searching for any sign of pity. But all he saw was sincerity. Slowly, he nodded. The little bell above the cafe door jingled as they stepped inside. The place smelled like coffee, cinnamon, and freshly baked bread. The warmth hit them instantly, wrapping around them like a soft blanket. Emily guided Ethan to a corner booth near the window. "Sit tight," she said with a kind smile. "I'll be right back." When she returned, she carried a steaming mug of hot chocolate topped with whipped cream and a plate with a grilled cheese sandwich. Ethan's eyes widened, a mix of surprise and hunger. "For me?" he asked, almost in disbelief. "For you," she said. "Eat before it gets cold." Ethan hesitated only for a moment before he took his first bite. He ate slowly at first, as if unsure if he was allowed to enjoy it, then faster, almost desperately. Watching him, Emily felt tears well up. No child should have to ration happiness like that. After a few bites, Ethan paused. "Mom always says we're lucky," he said quietly. "Even when there's not much food, she says we have each other, and that's enough." Emily smiled through her tears. "Your mom sounds like a good woman." "She is," he replied proudly. "She just gets really tired. I wish I could help her more." Emily's heart ached. She thought about her own daughter, sleeping at home, and how hard she worked to give her a better life. Looking at Ethan across that small cafe table, she realized something: kindness didn't need to be grand. Sometimes it was just a warm sandwich, a safe place, and someone who cared enough to listen. The next morning, the sky was still gray, but the rain had stopped. The streets shimmered with puddles that caught reflections of passing cars and sleepy faces heading to work. Emily couldn't shake the image of Ethan from her mind, his empty lunchbox, his quiet courage, his love for his mother. All night, she had tossed and turned, thinking about them both. She didn't have much herself, but she knew the feeling of going without, of pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. By sunrise, her decision was made. Emily woke up early, packed a lunchbox, actually, two. One was filled with Ethan's favorites: peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, apple slices, a small bag of cookies, and a note that said, "You deserve a full belly and a happy heart." The second lunchbox had a little envelope tucked inside. Inside that envelope was a handwritten note for his mother. It read, "Greater than, you're doing amazing. The world needs more hearts like yours. You are seen. You are appreciated." By mid-morning, Emily returned to the park where she'd first seen Ethan. The air smelled fresh after the rain, and the benches were still damp. She wasn't sure if he'd be there, but somehow, she hoped. And then she saw him. The same small figure, same old jacket, but this time, his eyes lit up the moment he recognized her. "Miss Emily," he called, running toward her. She smiled. "Hey there, kiddo. I thought you might be here." He looked at the lunchboxes in her hands, curiosity flickering across his face. "Are those, for me?" Emily nodded. "One for you, one for your mom." He took them carefully, almost reverently. "Mom's gonna be so happy," he whispered. Then, reaching into his backpack, he pulled out a small blue umbrella, old but neatly folded. "Mom wanted me to give you this," he said shyly. She said, "You shouldn't get wet when it rains anymore." Emily laughed softly, tears blurring her eyes. She knelt down, accepting the umbrella as if it were a treasure. "Tell your mom thank you. And tell her she's not alone, okay?" Ethan nodded with a smile so bright it could outshine the clouds. For the first time in days, Emily felt warmth deeper than sunlight, the warmth of connection, kindness, and shared humanity. Emily stood in the park long after Ethan had left, holding the little blue umbrella in her hands. The world around her felt softer somehow, quieter, more meaningful. The morning light broke through the clouds, scattering golden rays across the wet pavement. She could still see Ethan's small footprints leading down the path, fading into the distance. She sat on the same bench where she'd first found him, the same one where the rain had fallen heavy, where an empty lunchbox had told a story words couldn't. Now, everything felt different. There was hope in the air, fragile but real. Emily opened the umbrella and smiled. It wasn't new, its handle was scratched, and one corner bent slightly, but it was beautiful in its own way. It wasn't about what it looked like. It was about what it meant: gratitude, love, and the reminder that kindness always finds its way back. For the first time in a long while, Emily felt peace. Life had been hard on her too. Bills piled up, long shifts wore her down, and sometimes she felt invisible, just like Ethan's mother probably did. But that small act of giving, of showing up for someone else, had rekindled something inside her she didn't even realize she'd lost. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, a message from her daughter's teacher. "Emily, your daughter shared lunch with another student today who forgot theirs. She said, 'My mom says food tastes better when you share it. Just thought you'd like to know.'" Tears filled Emily's eyes as she read the message. That was the moment she truly understood. Compassion wasn't something you teach with words. It's something you pass on through actions, one small act at a time. She looked up at the brightening sky and whispered to herself, "Kindness doesn't need a reason, just a heart that cares." The wind brushed her hair as if the world itself had nodded in agreement. As Emily stood and walked away, umbrella in hand, she felt lighter than she had in years. One rainy afternoon, one empty lunchbox, and one selfless little boy had reminded her of life's most powerful truth: even the smallest act of kindness can change everything. And in that gentle light after the storm, hope began to shine again. Sun behind small cloud,